So we've come now to Good Friday, and we reflect on this part of the story. And I'm using in the background Matthew 27. If you have a chance, have a look and read. But this story, as much, contains so many sounds that are part of the story. Jesus, on that morning, after Maundy Thursday, after the start of the questioning before the high priests, now is brought before Pilate. For they are seeking for him to die. And they, as the Jewish leaders, are not able to do that. The death sentence, it will be proclaimed by the Romans. So he is brought before Pilate. And there he is accused again. And as the governor, Pilate, in the past, he has released a prisoner. And though he does not want, it appears, he does not want for Jesus to be the one to die, he goes to the crowd. Can you imagine the noise of the crowd? And then he asks, which of these two, Jesus or Barabbas, should be released? And the crowd at this point ask for Barabbas. And then he asks what they should do with Jesus. And they call, crucify, crucify. And so Pilate hands Jesus over to be crucified. He was afraid of the potential. He was afraid of the crowd. And so Jesus handed to the soldiers of the governor. They take him, they strip him, they put upon him a scarlet robe, and they place upon his head the crown of thorns. And then they mock him. They spit at him. They take from him again that robe, and they take him out to crucify him. And so they go out along the way, roping in someone, Simon of Cyrene, to help carry the cross. The weakness of Jesus at this point. And then they place him upon the cross. We have now the sound of the nails And then Jesus is crucified. And above his head, a sign is placed that says, Jesus, the King of the Jews. The mocking continues. The two bandits crucified with Jesus in Matthew's Gospel, they both continue to mock him. As around noon, the world goes dark. And then at 3, Jesus cries out with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? The cry of desolation, the cry of pain. And again, Jesus cries out and breathes his last. And at that point, something immense happens. For the curtain in the temple is torn in two, from top to bottom. And it is a seismic event in Matthew's Gospel. For tombs are opened and people are raised, and there is the suggestion the earth shakes, an earthquake happens. At this point, something has changed. The world becomes different. The world becomes new. And a centurion, keeping watch over these events, were terrified and said, this man was God's son. So at the foot of the cross, someone recognized what was happening. Amazingly, in this time of desolation, the women standing far off continued to keep watch. The sounds of this event, so many of them of pain, of mocking, of desolation, but the one in there that speaks of the world changing, the curtain being torn in two, the curtain in the temple that has kept God away from the people, has been opened. The world changed on that day. And yet, we have to go into a time of waiting before we see the final vindication on this day. Take time. Remember. Remember the love offered for you. Remember the love offered for each one. Amen.